Hello Legends. Today I want to share with you my second Best of Both Worlds modification videos. This time we're diving into the AtGames Legends Pinball. Before we jump into the new additions, I just wanted to briefly touch on the evolution of this modification that I've shared with you in other videos and posts. My first modification to the ALP was to add a DMD screen that I could use in OTG. This required modifications to the back box and the plexi. While I think it came out okay, there were some significant blemishes in the plexi that always bugged me. I've never been a fan of cables hanging off of my machines. You saw it in the ALU, and the same goes here on the ALP. This move was fairly simple, but it took a decent amount of disassembly. In the end, I got what I wanted, which was to have the input ports be on the back of the machine. In order to utilize the back glass in OTG, I had to purchase an HDMI to EDP control board. The big problem with this board was how fragile the little connector is. So while it worked perfectly for OTG, I lost the stock back glass functionality. The most significant upgrade I have made to date was adding the surround sound feedback functionality to the PC tables. Originally I had the amplifiers all installed internally. This created several challenges as some games had drastically different sound profiles and accessing the volume was not easy at all. I was inspired by another member of the community and his topper display. So after spending weeks measuring and planning, I finally decided to move ahead with this mod. As you can see, I also took the opportunity to replace the back glass plexi that had bothered me since my DMD mod. On the surface, my AOP was beautiful, functional, and very fun to play. But under the cabinet and behind the boxes was a rat's nest of wires and cables. Something had to change. For the next round of modifications, I had several goals in mind. First, I wanted to upgrade the haptics for the stock games. While the exciters that come with the ALP are serviceable, they certainly leave something to be desired. I wanted to relocate the amplifiers. Reaching in and turning volume based on all the different games was just not an option anymore. I also wanted to relocate my PC. With the space that the amplifiers were going to leave inside the ALP, I thought, let's put the PC inside. I also had to have the stock backglass functionality. Too many times I've been playing the games, the stock games that is, and just really struggling just because I'm having to play in non-cabinet mode and it just wasn't functional anymore. I also was going to add the new control panel, and I definitely had to clean up those wires. So I began where any good construction and modification project starts. I tore down the entire build. For the stock haptic upgrade, I had several options. Several people had success mixing the stock line coming off of the main board into an existing surround sound feedback amplifier and exciters. However, I did choose to add a dedicated amplifier and a dedicated set of exciters specifically for the stock games. So here you can see the extra set of exciters that are now on the front of the ALP. I used that stock line, though, however, the same way the other people had. I split it out into a stereo line that now plugs in via the RCA to a dedicated amplifier. As you can see, I relocated the amplifiers under the front section of the cabinet, and now there are 4. This allows for very easy access to volume and has a very low impact to the stock aesthetics. I began working on the PC to get it installed inside of the cabinet. Obviously, I had to tear it apart to do that. I purchased this DIY PC test bench frame. The reviews were not very good and it was a little on the expensive side. But I have to tell you, this thing was top-notch quality. From the individually wrapped pieces of aluminum all the way down to the white gloves that were included. One of my biggest fears about locating the PC inside of the cabinet was heat. I needed to design an airflow loop that would keep the cabinet and the PC cool. Here you can see the holes I drilled to accommodate a 120 millimeter fan for both intake and exhaust. This picture has a lot going on it. You can see the PC installed on the DIY frame. You can see the 240 millimeter vertical fan that is positioned in front of the intake fan and blowing air across the motherboard towards the exhaust fan that is just slightly out of frame in this picture. You can also see the power strip that is used to power the PC, all 4 of the amps, the topper, and the DMD displays. This is underneath the cabinet, and here you can see the fan grills that I installed for the exhaust and the intake, as well as the LED power button for booting up the PC. Now, the next modification that I worked on relied heavily on AtGames to deliver.
Up. There he is, right there, pulling up with the box we've all been waiting for, boys and girls. Here it comes. That's right, we're going to give him social distance. We're going to back up into the house, let him deliver his package. That's right. We're going to go ahead and make sure his face is not on camera. But here he is delivering the package. There he is, right there. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
And deliver they did. Well, I guess it was UPS doing the delivery, but, you know, it came from AtGames. The newly released switchboard was ready to be installed. This restored the stock back glasses I have not seen in close to 3 months. You can't understand how excited I was for this. You can see I have the board installed in the back box. The switch is wired underneath the playfield display, and the button is installed there just to the left, in the left corner of the playfield, just kind of next to the amplifiers there. I was also fortunate to be in the first group to receive a payment email for the new arcade control panel. There's not much to say here. It's a great product. It works flawlessly for the ArcadeNet games and the BYOG games with USB. It works fairly well in OTG, but there are still some bugs that need to be worked out with firmware updates, so I'm looking forward to those. After some wire management, I finally have what I feel is a very nice looking pinball machine with all the features of the stock ALP intact and all of the features of a capable OTG PC. This truly is the best of both worlds. As I wrap up this video, I want to mention that I'll be live streaming gameplay and answering questions live in the next few weeks. I hope you enjoy this video, and we'll see you next time.